First off, I'd like you to sign and share. I'd like to ask you to sign and share our online petition to the Trudeau government to terminate its military mission to Syria and Iraq.
Yeah.
That mission is scheduled to expire 1 week from today on June 30th. And we do not want the Canadian government to renew that mission for another year. We want the Canadian government to end that mission and bring home the planes and the troops from Syria and Iraq. Every time you sign this online petition, an automatic email message goes to the Prime Minister, the Foreign Minister, and the Defense Minister. Yesterday we started the petition. By today, the Prime Minister and the other ministers have received 650 email messages in their inboxes. Please, by the end of the week, let's make that thousands of email messages. It's the Hamilton Coalition to Stop the War.ca. You may ask, what Syria and Iraq have to do with Al-Quds Day? And I'll say, everything. The criminal Zionist regime illegally occupying Al-Quds, Jerusalem, has been deeply involved in the war on Syria. For 6 long years, the Israeli government has been bombing targets in Syria, assassinating high Syrian military officers, killing Iranian officers, killing important leaders of Hezbollah and many ordinary civilians. Just today, the Israeli Air Force attacked the Syrian army in the Golan Heights while the Syrian army was fighting against an attack by Al-Qaeda forces. Shame indeed. Since 2013, Israel has been giving free medical care to Al-Qaeda terrorists in the Golan Heights, which Israel has occupied illegally for 50 years since June 1967. Last week, a spokesman, Moatasem Al-Golani, spokesman for the rebel group Fursan al-Julan, or Knights of the Golan, was quoted in the Wall Street Journal, and this is what he had to say, I quote, "Israel stood by our side in a heroic way. We could not have survived without Israel's assistance." Shame indeed. He went on to say that Israel also gives monthly payments to his terrorist group to pay the salaries of its mercenary fighters. But that's not all. The same Wall Street Journal article said that the Israeli authorities have provided significant amounts of cash, food, fuel, and medical supplies to Sunni rebels fighting against the legitimate government of Bashar al-Assad. Brothers and sisters, do you ever wonder why ISIS and Al-Qaeda bomb London, Paris, New York, and Brussels, but never Tel Aviv? That's because the terrorists have made common cause with the Apartheid regime in Jerusalem. In May 2015, Musa Ahmed Neblan, the foreign affairs officer of the so-called Free Syrian Army, stated, and I quote, "We congratulate the powerful state of Israel and its people on its anniversary of independence, and we hope that next year we can participate in the joy of this grand occasion in Israel's embassy in Damascus." For its part, top Israeli and military and political leaders have repeatedly said that they would prefer to have ISIS in power in Damascus rather than Assad. Shame indeed. But why is this? Why is the Israeli government in bed with ISIS and Al-Qaeda? Brothers and sisters, it's because Israel, though it condemns Hezbollah, the government of Iran, and Hamas as terrorists, we know who are the real terrorists in the Middle East. If I ask you, who is the terrorist, you should answer, Israel is the terrorist. As far back as 1894, the Zionist movement under Theodore Herzl had a greater Israel plan, an Israel stretching from the Euphrates to the Nile. That idea was updated in 1982 in the Yinon plan of the Israeli government to balkanize Israel's neighboring states, breaking them up into little tiny pieces, the better to absorb them into greater Israel. That plan corresponds exactly with the new U.S. plan that was put into effect in 2006 and described by Seymour Hersh in this famous article called The Redirection. The American plan was to pit Sunni versus Shia and Arab versus Kurd. The Israeli colonialists were very active with the USA and Canada, for example, in breaking away a separate Kurdish state in northern Iraq, which declared this week, that it will hold a referendum on independence in September 25th of this year. The Israelis have also been active with the renegade Kurdish elements in Syria, who are working as mercenaries for the USA in trying to partition Syria by establishing a separate Kurdish state in the northeast that they call Rojava. Last year, when it declared itself a federated autonomous region, according to the Times of Israel, Rojava also called for closer ties with Israel and Saudi Arabia. So I ask you again, brothers and sisters, to sign the petition against the continuation of Canada's military mission in Syria and Iraq. That Canadian mission supports both Israeli and U.S. plans to destabilize the region and balkanize all the Arab countries. That Canadian mission may be the trigger of a third world war because Russia has said it will target any coalition planes that are flying in the skies above Syria, west of the Euphrates. And Canada has planes illegally in the skies of Syria and may fly west of the Euphrates. This could be a trigger for World War III. To conclude, I would like to also recognize the immense sacrifices made by the Syrian government and people in defending their country from foreign invasion and occupation. I would like to pay tribute to the governments of Iran, Russia, and China, without whose help the diabolical plans of the U.S. and Israel would have succeeded by now. Praise is also due to the heroic fighters from Hezbollah and the Palestinian brigades who have waged many important battles to protect Syria and defend it against the terrorists sponsored by Israel and the USA and Canada. So on Al-Quds Day, we must recognize the Israeli nuclear bully can only survive by hanging on to the coattails of its U.S. imperial master. But the days of those two powers is numbered. Syria will win. Iraq will win. Iran will win. And Palestine will be free from the river to the sea. Thank you for your attention.